outstanding.
Hi, friend. How are you?
Hey, it's great to be here, Dr. Shelley.
Chris, it's such a pleasure to have you join with us. I love to hear about a topic of Father's Day is coming up pretty soon,
Yeah.
right? And just really love to talk with fathers like yourself. I see you out there doing a lot and you're posting about kids and grandkids and stuff like that. So I was intrigued. And I know that one of the news challenge, I think it was CNN that had spoken with some fathers on Father's Day and on the topic of fatherhood. How do fathers make it different? So I said, okay, let me just reach out to you, Chris, to see and hear from your perspective, because I see you as that type of father. Let us hear from you as to how. I wanted to have this conversation with you on it. And I would ask you, if you don't mind, to just share a little bit about yourself, whatever you want our audience to know.
All right, no problem. It's good to be here. I guess let me give you a little of my professional background first. I actually, I'm from Jamaica. That's my country of origin. And I live here in the Washington, D.C. area. And I'm the father of 3 wonderful girls, all adults now, all married, which is great.
Oh.
And I have 4 maternal grandkids and 2 other grandkids. And that's the one John is the one I think you see me interacting with more often. I'll tell you a little about how that gets around. I remember when he was probably 2 or 3, we had a dinner and my cousin who grew up without a father came to me and I said, look, you're going to have influence over this boy. And I want you to make a commitment to me that he'll never be without a father figure in his life. Oh. And I said, yes, sir. And so, we get to see each other on weekends and we get to do a lot. It's my weekend buddy. And so I get to do a lot of good stuff with him. During the week, as far as work, I'm a patent examiner, and I also have a marketing agency that I do, some work in, and I dabble in some ministry issues as a lay preacher in some other places. So
wow, so you do wear many hats. And personally, I met you through the Institute of Caribbean Studies in Washington, D.C. as well. So I know you've always been there whenever I pass through as well. So that's my delight. Chris, you're always that one that is always out there in the community. And I'm sure people will love to hear about those professional life, but that's not what this is all about. So let me just start asking you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Please do.
What would your kids say about you? And they said you had 3 girls. What would they say about you?
3 wonderful girls. And what I have them on record. I was surprised 4 years ago. I think 4 years ago, they actually called me. 1 lives in California and 2 lives in Maryland. And somehow on Father's Day, they gave me this gift of a book they wrote. It's entitled Lessons for My Father. I was really flabbergasted.
Can you hold it a little higher? We didn't see.
Sure. On the cover is the 2 oldest grandkids. These are the Californians. At the time, the 3rd one was in the tummy, and the other one wasn't. But they collaborated and wrote this book, and they captured 13 lessons that they learned from me that I wasn't.
Oh, wow. So I'm dead on. I'm spot on.
Yeah, so it's right on. So, the first one is listen more and talk less.
Listen more,
which is one that's difficult for me. That's one that but they captured it. My favorite picture of me and these girls is captured in this one here.
Nice.
Iconic picture of me every summer. Yeah. I take 1 week off and actually we'd go to a music camp. And they end up music camp each day. We'd go have ice cream. So this one, the youngest, she was 6 months at the time when this picture was taken, but she was at the music camp. She is still the musician in the family. She's actually a music teacher today.
Wonderful.
The other 2, they use it as as good hobbies, but dedicated their life to be a music teacher.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. So that's the one that stands out most for you.
yeah, they all have different skills.
No, I'm talking about you were reading, what is it, 5? How many?
They're 13. They're 13.
13.
That was the first one.
Oh, that's a magic number, 13.
Yeah, the education is important.
Yes.
God is important.
Yes.
Let me give you some. Family is important. Family is priority.
Right.
Follow your passion.
Yes.
Because they all have different passions. Serve others.
Yes.
See what here. Find love. There are
Ah.
pictures of their wedding days in here.
Yes.
Every day. Always smile. Enjoy other cultures. We always enjoy other cultures, and the like. So those are the principal ones that they shared.
Awesome.
So I treasure this book because it brought tears to my eyes when I got it, because I did not know I had that kind of impact to them.
Of course, that's wonderful. And as an author, I wrote my first book, Success Strategies of Caribbean American Leaders in the United States, simply because I wanted to leave a legacy for my grandkids when they were to be born, and to show them the path of leadership and why some things are important. So I can understand when they present you with that book, how much that may have meant to you. So as we move on, I wanted to ask you another question. Are there things you wish you had done differently as a father? Anything?
I don't live life with much regret. I use them as lessons learned.
Yes.
If there's one thing I said, I think I was very demanding because I'm an engineering type guy, and I wanted one of these girls, and they weren't into that. I remember them crying me to teach them math. All 3 of them had that experience with me. But that's not the gifts that they have. It's fine. Whatever you like, as you God has given you, as you got your gift. But I don't like living life with regret. You live life boldly and with lessons learned, even when you do make mistakes. You
of course,
you the lesson from that and you go forward.
Right. And then lessons are there to teach us to grow.
Exactly. It's a growth opportunity. It's really a growth opportunity.
Exactly. So that's my philosophy too.
Yeah.
I hardly any regrets in that, because it's a shaping and connecting to dots and so on, and on the horizon that you're going.
Exactly.
So my other question to you is, do you think today's fathers have things harder or easier than you had?
I think it may be a little more difficult fathers today, because there's so many other influences today on kids from you have TikTok, you have all of this stuff. Kids didn't have that. We spend our time in the summertime, we're outside, we had a pool in the backyard. They'd be out there, we'd be reading, listening to tapes. We had tapes, we didn't have CDs on these personal devices to go do that, right? And so I think the amount of influence, outside influences, are greater today. And a lot of people are overwhelmed by that. And so they don't know how to control those influences on their kids, as they want to shape the lives of their kids and let them grow and have the innocence of childhood like we had. And so I think it's much more difficult today because of the outside influence. These are big influences on kids' life today that you really need to be attentive to, but not having a lot of tools to actually do that.
And it has me thinking as to what recommendations you would have to give to them.
Well, I think, I think part of it is, how do you develop rituals? Having family rituals, I think, are important. That it's time to set aside stuff. It's time to do this, so you can manage it and then teach principles and critical thinking. How will that affect you? So critical thinking, as opposed to this embracing the latest trend or philosophy. How do that? Is there a series of questions you should be asking yourself before you adopt something? And so rituals to actually affirm what's good, and then questions when new stuff come to actually take you to a set of stuff, as opposed, oh, this is cool. You know, what are the steps, the questions you ask yourself?
Yeah.
A lot of people are boasting about the IQ of their kids. I care more about the EQ of your kids. So I go back and I tell the story, if you've heard the story about the marshmallow experiment.
Yes, go ahead.
That's one of the ones where kids were sent in a room and they defer gratification versus those who actually said no. And if you did not have the marshmallows, you'd get double. Left them in the goose. So and they tracked those kids for many years, into the teenage years, into the adulthood.
Yes.
The ones who could defer gratification did far greater than those who said, boy, and had that marshmallow. So I use that as a good illustration that I've actually shared with my kids to say how you manage your life. And so one of the things that we did was actually making sure that they had disciplines in it. Like, that's why they were into music. From they were 2.5, all of my kids learned.
What instruments do they play?
Huh?
What instruments do they play?
They all play violin and I think piano.
Okay.
And the youngest, she plays all kind of other instruments, but the other two play both violin, piano, guitar.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I think there is a correlation there with emotional intelligence.
Exactly.
That music. And growing up with a child who you encourage to play music.
And they actually fed off of each other. The oldest is 5 years older than the middle. And the middle, she wanted to play violin. And her sister said, no, you're not playing my instrument. I got this kid actually a cardboard violin. Said, no, so she was banished to play the cello. And she didn't like the cello. I said, no, you can't do this thing to the child, to your sister. If she wants to play the violin, she was allowed after 2 years to take violin lessons. She just blossomed with her instrument. But I still have the stool, or cello stool, as a remembrance of that season of her life.
Yes. And I'm sure she has a lot to tell her own child.
Oh, yeah. So you wouldn't believe my oldest, first son or second child, he didn't get to play the cello. He didn't get to play the violin. His sister plays the violin. He plays the cello. And I think it's related.
All right, so I'll move on. I have a question still for you on that, but I'll move on a little bit and maybe circle back to it because I'm intrigued by some of what you've said.
Okay.
What do you enjoy most about being a father and or grandfather, whichever one you want to?
Which I admire more.
What do you enjoy most about being a father?
I think for being a father, I enjoy, I had 3 girls, so it was a different experience. My wife, I had to put the kids to bed. And so I had to tell them stories at night and get them to bed. I didn't appreciate till later how important that was. That was a good habit for me to develop and try to get. Some didn't want to go to sleep. And how do you manage all of that? But part of what I want to enjoy doing that, there were certain rituals we have. And one of the rituals that they had, at 16, I did not give you allowances anymore. I'll invest. If you like to do something, I'll give you money to invest. And if you fail in a job, that's fine. But I didn't want it. All right.
At what age? At what age did you do that?
At 16.
Oh, 16. Okay.
16. The other thing I did, as far as part of mentoring, I fired all of my kids. I fired them. They wanted, I hate lawn work. So they said, all right, we'll do the lawn. And after 3 months or 1 season, I said, what's happening? Nope, you can't do it. You're fired. I'll do it. They all got fired, but I say it's better for me to fire you because we can talk about the experience as opposed to you going out there and not knowing when should you run into experience like that. So they appreciated that after a while.
Wow.
I think that was it's a mentoring lesson with tough love, even at that age. With
Okay.
grandkids, go ahead.
No, you're talking about your grandkids. Go ahead.
With grandkids, it's more about letting them develop visions of grandeur, of possibilities, that there's no limits on themselves, that they can do whatever they feel like doing. So exposing them, that's why I spend a lot of time on the National Mall to expose John to different kind of circumstances. That we've been there to all kind of circumstances, and people said, what do you want to be? I want to be an astronaut, and then I want to be president. So he's already gotten 5 votes to be president when he's been on more. But it's a curiosity to foster their curiosity, to say there are no limits. And it's okay if stuff doesn't work out, to feel comfortable making mistakes, because playing is actually okay. Playing and curiosity goes together.
Yeah.
So, exposing them is important.
I will take you back to the question I told you I wanted to ask you, but then you went into it again. So it was a little bit clearer. It's the ritual. And I think ritual is something you've been doing. And it's also evident of what I see when I see you on the weekend on Facebook. And you mentioned the National Mall. Where's the National Mall, and what is the National Mall? But for somebody who, you just said it, but others may not know what it is and where it is and all that. And the concept behind, you did mention the concept behind the National Mall and why you take them out to museums and so on, but just share.
Sure. The National Mall is a space in Washington, D.C. between the Congress and the Lincoln Memorial. And so between there's a lot of war memorials, there are museums, there are galleries, there are gardens, there's history, there's people that you can meet. So we go to the botanical gardens like that. He's here smelling flowers. And he said to me the last time we were there, these are the flowers I want in my wedding bouquet. I said, whoa.
How old is he?
He's 8.
Oh, wow. Right? And he said that.
We go to the National Gallery.
Yeah,
it's an art museum. And there's this huge 15-foot rooster. And we go there and we take pictures of it. Or there are numbers of art pieces with numbers on it. And he said, oh, I remember taking him when he was 6. And you want to take a picture with him by 6. It's for him to even interpret a piece of art. I said, what do you see in that picture?
right.
And I said, yes. And I can affirm him as he grows in his understanding of the world. So it's the learning opportunity that you get. It's a place where other kids are hanging out to. One of his favorite things to do, they put on these sprinklers in the summertime, and he just go run through the water. Okay. There's the World War II memorial, and you can go dabbling your feet in the water, and he decides to go for a swim in the water. So to prepare him for this summer, I said, let's go early. We ran into a ranger. And the ranger, I kind of hinted the ranger, I want to put the fear of God in him for him to have a greater respect for this place. She stood with him, she's an 84-year-old lady, for 45 minutes, shared with him the grandeur of this place, that he left with such a reverence. He would not even sit on the property.
Oh.
He's studying now to be a junior ranger because of that. And that kind of experience you don't get other places.
Exactly. No, so I'm so glad that I asked you to get a little bit deeper into that, because rituals, I think, seem to be something that is very, very important in your life. And it's something that other parents, mothers and fathers, this time we're really focusing on fathers and stuff, but it is something that is important when kids can identify and adopt a practice, no matter what it is, and then link it to something else that is a big picture into their future.
Exactly.
Right.
So we started out with him, he also takes his scooter down there. I said, that's fine. We take the scooter on the train, and you can do some of that. We leave the scooter outside and go inside the museum. So you can combine a lot of stuff now. So you can't do that. It has to be book. And I think, especially if you know the learning modality of kids, sometimes force them, you have to read a book. You're kidding me? you find out what their interests and their passion, and you use different ways of actually encouraging that.
Right. Thanks for sharing that, Chris. I want to ask you a little bit about the hardest moment. What was one of the hardest moments you had being a father, and why was it hard?
Well, probably I was a single father for many years, for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
And that was difficult.
Okay.
So I had two girls, one was in college and two were home with me.
Yeah.
To take care of that. And the demands of teenage girls and all of that to work through that. I'm glad I had really supportive family and friends to work through that pretty difficult time in my life and not lose any of the girls.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, that was probably the most challenging time of my life.
Interesting. And I'm glad you also mentioned that, because we do have single fathers out there.
Oh, yeah.
And single fathers. So you're talking on different aspects, and I'm really glad that you mentioned that part, because these principles can still be applied whether you're together or you are alone raising your kids or your girls. No?
Exactly.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, and that's important. And also the link to the fact that it is the support of family and friends is also very important.
Well, you can't do it without them. You can't really. Because I tried doing that and I crashed and burned, actually. I'm going to do everything like it. Man.
I understand that. And I remember growing up that the neighbors were pretty much in our life,
Yeah.
These days, neighbors are neighbors. They don't come too close. We hear all kind of horrible stories about what is happening with neighbors and so on. But then you are accountable to your neighbor. As a child, I was accountable to the neighbor who could scold me, or if I did anything wrong or so on, and then tell my parents when they got home.
Exactly.
So that's interesting what you just said. How would you like to remember as just as we wrap up?
How would I like to be remembered?
Yeah, how would you like to be remembered as far as the legacy is concerned?
I'd like to be remembered to one who try to allow people to realize their gifts. Somebody who's going to be a cheerleader for people's gifts and help them remove barriers from becoming who they are. So mentoring is very important to me, and all the other organizations that I belong to. I'm looking for a measure of mentoring where I can talk to young people. And if I see them putting barriers on themselves, help them remove those barriers, or help them, put them even in uncomfortable situation to say, yes, you can do it.
Yes.
So I think if I'm called a mentor at the end of the day, that made a difference in people's life, I think that would be an honor for me.
Oh, wow. That is mentorship and making an impact and a difference.
Exactly.
Again, long term.
Exactly. That's the way you multiply leaders, and we have a poverty for leaders, and leadership. One of the things, not just modeling, but also multiply. And so one of the things that you pass along, you have a generational view as opposed to that's a now view. You have to have a generational view to see how you're going to impact that down the line.
That's very, very interesting. And as you know, I'm a leadership coach as well. Have been out there in that sphere for a long time, where people actually approach me asking for leadership, mentorship, and even with this the Ignite Caribbean 30 under 30 that I also I'm very much involved in. It's because of the same reason that you're talking about, developing leaders for the long term, for the future.
Exactly.
It is that one is very, very important. So Chris, it's really been a pleasure chatting with you. Can you share with us anything else that is any parting words that you would like to mention before we close?
I said never, if we want to talk to fatherhood, sometimes fathers find it difficult to, be in their kids' lives, especially in a tough relationship circumstances, but never give that up. You're gonna regret it. And I was glad that I had full involvement in my kids' life, and I'm seeing some of the fruits of that, not just in them, but also in my grandkids. And for that, I'm very thankful. So even during tough circumstances, never give that up. Continue to make a difference.
Can you do me a favor? That's really inspiring. Can you do me a favor? Can you just use the book and just share the 13?
You can read
what
these.
They call it? Is it nuggets?
Okay.
That they're your girls did a whole book for their dad. That's really amazing.
Yeah. So it's listen more, talk less.
Listen more.
Education is important.
Yes.
Play, laugh, learn, grow. Put God first.
Yes.
Make family a priority.
Yes.
Let's see here. Follow your passion.
Yeah.
Here. Serve others.
Mm-hmm.
Find love.
Yeah.
Love.
Mm-hmm.
Read every day. Always smile. Enjoy other cultures.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Let's read this. I love you, Dad, and want you to know I feel your love wherever I go. Wherever I have problems, you've been there to assist. The ways you have helped me would make quite a list. Your wisdom and knowledge have shown me the way, and I'm thankful for you. I've lived day by day. I don't tell you enough how important you are. In my universe, you're a bright, shining star.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And this is a picture of the baby that was about to be.
Can you turn to the front of the book again so we can see the.
Okay, it's good.
Hold it up a little higher because we're not seeing the title.
Okay, you seeing it now?
Yes. Lessons from my father. Very nice.
Yeah, and then the back is a picture of me and we're in California. I went to visit with them. And here's me and bonding with my oldest granddaughter.
Nice.
I know.
Wonderful. So you also got something, and I didn't know of that when I asked for us to chat. So that is really some really great nuggets. I like the passion and the cultural experiences, and smile and love. Because I'm always smiling.
Amen.
Always smiling because people find it, I think it makes it more approachable, and it brings out what is on the inside.
Exactly.
You're rid of the negativity
connected.
and a smile, and it will show.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, yes. So Chris, thank you very much. And you can just share about just where they can find out the marketing side of the business that you do.
Yeah, well, if you want to find out what I do, and it's digital to grow, and then number 2 instead of TO, it's digital to grow at .com, or I have a personal website that's linked to it. It's chrisdaly360.com.
Right. So you're a digital marketing guru.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Chris. Really, really thanks again for this delightful conversation. And again, I'm Dr. Shelley Cameron, founder of the Global Coaching Corner. Just come on over to our corner. I love the corner.
And you can do better than I've seen this lady at work, and she is in it for the long run to make a difference in people's lives.
Yes.
So it's been a pleasure knowing you all these years, Shelley.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Your work. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chris.
All right. Okay. Blessings.